All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining today. So before we start, right, let's quick discussion. Like, if you guys have any doubt, anything that you want to ask, um, let's go ahead. Do you guys have any question?
Yeah. Hi Ravi. I think that I
Mm,
am yesterday's class, like I have been enjoying that. Today only I have been
okay.
joining. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this BPM tool, like I worked in Pega almost for 6 years.
Oh,
How this
great. Mhm.
is similar to that or any like
Yeah, I mean, see, all the BPM tools are kind of similar, right? It's just the way of working, bit different. But yes, you will if you have already understanding of the Pega, right? You will feel very easy to implement it in the app as well.
yeah, and do we need to do any certifications for this, like to get a
See,
job?
certification is not mandatory, but certification is always gives you a plus point, right? If two candidates are there, both are equally qualified,
Right.
but if someone has certification, that will definitely they will get some parity, right?
Yeah, and one more thing is like I've been working in the Pega now. Like I do have like, different certifications, and if I search the job in apparel, Appian, sorry, if they ask any certification, like if I do in coming months or something, then they will ask now like what why you did this on this day because like sorry, I was applying the job in Appian, but like around 4 years experience, but I don't have any experience. Do I get still I can sustain?
Oh, see, you have a good knowledge in Pega, right? So you will feel easy to learn the Appian, right? But if you can do the certification as well, right, that is definitely going to give you some plus points. So with this training, definitely you can go with 2 years of experience at least. You can mention, but it depends, how good you are in learning and then how well you cope up with the Appian training. So you can mention according to your understanding and then answering way of answering that you answer. But yes, if you can perform with this training, definitely you should be able to clear the level one certifications. The level one certifications is not only about the Appian, it's mostly about the BPM and Appian. They also take some percentage, maybe 30% of questions will be from the agile methodology. What's the story pointing, what's the user story, what's the acceptance criteria, such kind of questions will also be there. So yeah, uh, with this training you should be able to complete your level one at least.
Yeah, right.
All right. So yesterday we didn't talk anything about the development. We just introduced the Appian, how what Appian is, what kind of tool it is. That's what we have discussed. So I think we have the recordings. You can get it. Go through this.
Sure, sure.
Thanks you. Right. Anyone else has any questions before we start? All right. So I urge you everyone to do a login with the Appian community. Let me share the links here. Give me a second. So if you want, you can also use your personal email address. But for certification, I will ask you to go with your professional email address. Okay. So here is the link. Please, if you're not done already, go and do a sign up. And then you can get your own practice environment where you can go and do the practice. Right. If anyone face any issue, do let me know. We can work to get it sign up. Okay. All right. So today we are going to talk about the objects. What are the objects that we have? Just a quick review. We will definitely talk in details like how it works, but just to give you what are the objects we are going to use in Appian development lifecycle in our training. So we'll talk about those. Let me share my screen quickly and let me know if you can see it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I think we have seen this window already, right? Yesterday. This is when you log in, right? You will get a Appian URL. With this URL, let's say for example, I'm using this India instance, so it's in.appian committee. If you are going to use US instance, you will see us.appian.committee. Initially, I think last year, Appian was giving separate, a unique identifier of web URL for everyone. But now what they have done is they have given a shared environment, and they have applied the security that you can see your own application only, and the one that Appian has provided. So once you log in, you will get this URL where you have to go and sign up. And once you logged in, you will see the page. So this page is basically is a development page where as a user, as a developer, you will be seeing this page. If anyone is a basic user, right, who wants to work on this application, they need to go to the either tempo page or the the sites that we will create for the applications. So right now they have restricted this tempo link directly from this navigation icon here, but you can still do that if you want to go to the tempo page. Just duplicate this, and after this shoot, you just type tempo. So you can still be able to navigate to the tempo page. We have talked about this tempo page in yesterday sessions as well, so you can have a look. So yeah, this is the development window where you can go and do the development. You can create the applications, and one Appian environment may have more than one application. So what you are seeing it here is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 different applications that is available in this environment as per the security. So these 3 applications that you see here, that was created by Appian for learning purpose. You can go through and just see all those applications. These 3 I created for the training purposes. There were a lot of other applications as well which got deleted because Appian also refreshes its, in if it goes beyond the memory utilization, then they refresh it. Right. So always, but yeah, it remains such a long time where you can, go and check it. So I think this is all. If you see the 31st of July last updated, and still it is here. Right. So if you want to work with a new application, we can think about any use case that we want to go with, and then we will create an application for that, and we'll start creating the objects for our applications. Okay. Any question of this page for now? No. All right. Okay. So on this page, I'm just going to use some existing application to show you the list of the objects that we use in Appian to develop our application. So this is a sandbox application where you can see if you go to the new, or maybe you can see on your left hand side, these are the object types that is being used to develop any application. So if you go to the new, you can see it says process model reports. All these objects you can see here is being used to develop our application. Okay, so we are going to talk about all these objects. Okay, so topmost, the first one is a record type. As I said yesterday as well, right? The record type is the backbone of Appian. It's one of the greatest object developed in Appian, which can help you to design an application very quickly. And this can, this alone can do a lot of work that you might do it, developing it in Appian. Appian record is kind of a collection of data, which can be connected with the table or any third-party resources as well, where you can go and you can see the data, and you can take action on the data. You can have a view representation of the data, like how you want to look the data and all. And most important that, if you want, Appian record can also design the objects for you. If you want to initiate any actions, like let's say, for example, I would like to have a record for customers. So I can see the customer details everywhere. And if I want to take an action on a customer, maybe let's say update customer. So Appian record can easily develop the objects for you, where you can go and utilize those objects, and if you want, you can customize later as well. So that's how powerful Appian record is, which can take care of a lot of development, and you don't have to write a single line of code for that. We will see an example. How do we do Appian record, quickly, and then, we don't have to write a code, and then we can also go and see from the scratch. how to use this Appian record. Okay. Any question for the Appian record?
Yeah, I have a small doubt. Might be I missed it yesterday class. What is the purpose of record type? Where we can use it?
So as I said, right, record is kind of a representation of your data. Let's say if you have a customers list available in your system, and if you want to showcase all those customers in a table or maybe in a grid view, you can use a record. So a record will give you a list of the customer details where you can click on a link and then you can open the summary details of the particular customer, because in grid you might not be displaying all the data, right? So if you want to update, let me give you an example here. I think I should have it. Uh, let me see this. Yeah, so see this one. This is the customer record where I can have all the list of the customer that is available into the system. And if I want to see, all the details are not available here, maybe, right? We can display few information, as this is a grid representation of the data. So if I want to see all the details in detail, we can click any of the link and it will open a particular customer details in the summary page. Once we see the summary details of the, you know, we can also take an action on the particular record. Let's say if I want to update a customer, so I can update a customer details. We can see the details in the editable form, and we can, make some changes, and we can save it, so the detail will get saved. Let's say I would like to, uh, maybe this is getting the number, right? Let me show you something else, and it will get reflected. So that's how we can use a record to work with your data, to update your data. Maybe you can add a new data, you can delete the data, all those things you can perform with the record. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So that's very, one of the important objects of Appian development which we will be using to perform a lot of tasks. And then comes the process model. Process model, as we have also seen in discussion, that process model is basically used to design a data model, like how you want workflow of your requirement of a task, right? How you want to work, flow your data. Like once you accept the input from the users, and then if you want to take it for an approval process, or maybe if you want to trigger an email, so all those things that we can perform, we can design a process model where we can define the workflow based on the action taken by the user, which path it has to take and what action it has to perform, right? So that we can design by using the process models. And if you want to configure any actions in your applications, let's say initiate a new on customer onboarding process, or maybe initiate a leave request, all those things you can do by using this process model. If you want to perform any batch processes, like let's say, at this particular time, my instance should run automatically, then we need to design a process model for that with the timing configuration, like every day 5 o'clock or maybe every day in the midnight, it should start running automatically and do all those jobs. In that case, also we need to design a process model, right? And then comes the process report. The process report is basically if you want to do to get the data, any internal data of Appian. Let's say when the process was triggered, who triggered the process instance, what is the status of this particular process instance, whom the task is being assigned. All these are the internal data of Appian. So if you want to bring that data to the Appian UI, or as your application wise, right, we can create a process report for that, and that data will be available for the end users. So if you want to work with the internal data, we need to create a process report. These two, robotic task and robotic pools, are for the RPA, where you can create and bots and all, right, which we will not be touching in this training, because this is a separate topic for the RPA, robotic process automation, um, you know, uh, training sessions. Right. And then comes the interface. Interface, as the name suggests, you can design a UI, maybe read-only UI, or maybe the editable UI, where you can accept the inputs from the users. You can also design charts and graphs by using these interface objects. Okay. So that's the interface object for you, where you can use drag and drop to design your interface uh, components. And then comes the report. This report is basically it does nothing. It only in the tempo page, if you remember, right? So we had a report tab. So if you want to design a charts and graph and use to in the tempo tab, then we will have to design this report. Basically, it report only consider the interface. So everything we will design in the interface, and that interface we can configure in the report. That's it. So this report is to define the the charts and graph in the tempo page. And then comes the site. This site is basically, if you go through the yesterday session, right, we talk about the sites, because earlier the site wasn't there. So if a user has 4 or 5 access of 5 different applications, right, everything they can see in the same page in the tempo, maybe the action or maybe the task. So everything will be there in the same page. So to segregate the actions and then work of an application as separate wise, I can come up with the option of a site, where you can define a site for each application. Definitely, if you want, you can have multiple sites as well for one application. Let's say if I want to have a site like for customer onboarding process, right? For an example, if I want to have a site for the end users, if you want to have a different site for the supervisors, so we can definitely have more than one site. But the main fundamental of site is that it is specific to an application. Right. And then comes the portal. This is newly introduced to the Appian, maybe a year back. So the one thing with the Appian is that you must have a login credentials to use the Appian. And if there are any pages, let's say if any company wants to launch a page for their company where user can ask a question, or maybe user can send some feedbacks, user can go and see the your official websites, right? For that they don't need credentials, right? They don't. Why do I need to log in to see what are the features are available in the HDFC Bank site, maybe, right? So you don't need to log in. You can just see what other things are there. If you want to do a feedback to maybe any commercial site, does it require a login? No, right? So you can simply do that. So for that, Appian Hub comes up with this portal thing where you don't need a credentials. You just simply go and see the web pages and you can submit your feedback if you have. So for that, you don't need a credential. So that Appian portals introduced recently. Any questions so far, guys?
So is there any scheduling and queue processing is also there? It is covered under process model itself.
Right. That's the process model. So if you want to schedule any process, you just need to define the timing, at what time, which day you want to run this process. You can configure that, and every day with the defined time, the process will start automatically.
Okay.
And then we have expression rules. These expression rules are kind of a plain expression editors where you can go and write your codes. Let's say if you want to do a multiplication, so you can use 2 numbers, and it's just like a calculator also, right? If you want do 4 plus 5 and test the rule, it will give you the 9. So in that expression rule, you can do anything. You can write a query to bring the data from the database. You can work with your data if you want to update any data, all those things that you want to perform, any calculation or any um, update with the data or any manipulation with the data. If you want to perform, you can use an expression editor where you can perform all such kind of work. So that's an expression rule. We also call it like a supportive rule for your application work, where you can perform any kind of job and use it as a function, right? Whenever it is required, and you can reuse it as well. So that's an expression rule for you. And then comes the AI skills recently introduced with the
I have
Appian.
one question. Sorry to
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what type of code we can write it? Is there any Groovy script or any other language here for expression?
Yeah, Appian has its own language that is called SAIL, Self-Assembled Interface Language.
Okay.
It's it's very similar to maybe Java. See, you can see as we have talked about yesterday, right? And it has its own functions library where you can use the functions. Let's say if you want to do a search, maybe substring within a full length of text, you can pass that text and then you can pass the string that you want to search, if it returns true or false, if it matches, or maybe the position of it. So it has its own function library which we can use for everything. If you want to append the data, we have an append function. If you want to perform sum, we have a sum function. So we'll see all those things. But
Okay.
so remember, it's all like, it starts with the basic wordings of it. Let's say if I want to append something, the function name itself is append. So with the practice, you will understand how we need to use the functions and all. So all those things we can do in a expression rule. Right? And then comes the AI skills. AI skills is also introduced recently within the Appian, where you can perform, the recently now they have given the AI skill for data extractions and I think what is the classifications, data extraction and data classification. So if you want to use the AI skills, you can use the, if there's a PDF file, right? And from the PDF file, if you want to extract some information, you can use the Appian AI skills to do so. And then you can bring the data out from the PDF file. So Appian can read a PDF file and extract the data out of it. If you have a email, so let's say one of the email is for the order placement, one of the email is for the issuing some notice. So the classification AI skills will identify what kind of email it is, and based on that identification, it can divert the workflow and do the specific job. So this AI skill is also as a separate training, which is not required in the basic Appian development cycle. So we'll not be using this AI skills. And then this is a decision. So let me ask you this question, right? If you want to write a if let's say the requirement is that if my input is A, I should see an apple. If the text should be an apple. If my input is B, then text should be like ball. So if we have such things till Z, right, the requirement, how do you write this code? In any language or any pseudocode or whatever, the basic concept. If such requirement is there, right? So what is your thought process? How do you write this code? Anyone?
Conditional blocks, if else, or ternary operators in Java.
Right. So you might use if or whatever, right? So let's say if you are using the if, so it will be like if input is equal to A, then apple. Otherwise, if again nested if input is equal to B, then ball. So imagine how long the code will be. It will be very long code because you are going to use the nested if, right? So Appian comes up with a decision table which gives you a Excel-like format where you can define in input columns A, that's equal to apple, B then equal to ball. Likewise, you can mention everything. So if you pass a C to that, it will return the cat. You don't have to write if and else condition specially to mention. So it's just like you define the data in the Excel format, and based on that, it will match the data and it will return you the output. Okay, so just to organize your conditional data in an Excel format and then return the data to you. Okay. Right. And then we have a constant. As the name suggests, constant, the value remains constant here. Okay, so for an example, in your application, let's say the application header, because if whenever you use an application, you might give a name, right? Let's say you have given the name as customer onboarding application, right? This is the word that is mentioned, maybe 10 or 15 interfaces that you have customer onboarding application, right? Now this comes and says, hey, you know what? I would like to change that to customer onboarding process, right? So what you may have to do in this case? So you have 10 to 15 interfaces, right? Where you need to modify this.
Generally,
label.
we put it in a properties file so that it can be easily
Right.
changed.
Right. So what is the use of that properties file? That if you use directly the word, all the 15 places, right? You have to go and update all the 15 places manually, right? But if you have used the properties file, you just need to update the properties file and it will reflect all the places, right? Same way the constant works. So if you have defined your application name, the customer onboarding application in a constant, and then if you have used that constant all the 15 places, so you just have to modify that particular constant and it will get reflected all the places. Okay, so
Is it
that's the
uh, is it a safe way to store the secrets of the database access credentials as well here, or there's a separate place for
ideally you do not keep your secret keys in your constant. If you keep it, you have to make sure that no one else can access your your application, right? That it has to be that secure. Ideally, we should not, we don't allow, I mean, we don't suggest to keep the secret key in a constant, but you can keep it, not an issue. But secret keys always should be in your some other repository outside of this environment, okay?
and
But you can keep it.
and
Mhm.
Appian has that secrets store, like vault feature to store all this. Is there something?
No. I mean, doesn't give you such things that you can keep it secret here. It has its own folder repository where you can keep the documents, but it doesn't tell you that, hey, if you can access the document folders, you can also access the constant. So there's no meaning of keeping it, right? So you should always keep that somewhere else, maybe your some other repository or somewhere wherever your company uses it. But yeah, if you
And
put in the
if
constant,
mm,
a system admin user can see it.
okay, and if you have multiple tabs and menus in an application, you want some users like a role-driven access, some
Right, you
users to
can.
have that can be done.
Yes, it can be done. For each tab, you can define a security that whom it should be visible. So you have a visibility configuration where you can say, hey, if this person belongs to this particular group, then only it should be true, then it will be visible to that particular user, otherwise not.
Okay, thank you.
So same way, the constant is being used. So if you update the constant, it will reflect all the places. Now there is one more use of a constant. There are few functions in Appian. Let's say there is a file component, where which allows you to upload a file. So in that file component, there is a parameter called target. So the target requires a folder where you want to upload the file which user is uploading, where you want to save that file basically. So if you give the folder name, Appian will not understand, hey, that this particular folder we need to go and save, because that's a type of a text. So every constant, you can define a constant of multiple types. If you see here, right, it can have application, Boolean, connected system, document, folder, group name, process model, everything, right? So we need to define a constant of a folder type, and we need to define the folder location to that constant. And this constant, we need to use it to the Appian, that file upload component, so that Appian can understand, okay, at this particular folder, we need to save the file that user is uploading. So that is another use of the constant. Okay. Any questions for a constant? We will be using a lot of constant, by the way. Yeah. And then there's a translation set. Translation set is also introduced recently. We'll talk about that. I also have to go and see this translation. I haven't used this one, but we can definitely talk about this. All right. Then comes very who knows Appian. Mostly they ask, can we learn this objects or not? So yes, we are going to talk about the API integration and connected systems as well. Basically, the API is web API is like if you want a third party to use any of your services defined in Appian, we need to design a web API, right? In reverse, if you want to use any third party service within Appian, then we need to go with the integration. And the connected system is to define the security of your integration that you will be using. If you are going to use a third party any web services, right? In that case, we need to provide some security, like what the pass key and then values and all those, right? So we can define in a connected system. So we will definitely talk about this connected system integration and APIs, right? Any questions, guys, so far? No? All right. And then comes the documents. Documents is basically if you are going to upload any, let's say, image, if you want to display on a page, we need to create a document. Let's say if you want to upload any template of your maybe email body or maybe Excel template or maybe the Word template to generate the files, we need to create a document. So we can create a document. So Appian gives you a repository of the folders where we can go and define under which folder it has to save the document. Right. Groups and group type. Groups are basically to define specific roles. Like say if I want to have a group for managers, if I want to group for the supervisors, we can create a group to define a specific security for the use of specific areas of the application. There are two common groups that gets created. One is the admin group and then another is the all users group, where we can also define the roles. Like admin can have access of everything. Admin can update something, delete something, create something. However, the all users role, the end users who will be working on the application will get the viewer role, where they can go and view the application, perform the read and write by using the application. So all those things they can perform under the all users role. So we will be creating those two groups as well to give the security of the application. Right. And then comes the feed. If you remember the news feed that we had on the tempo page, so if you want to give some any publicity there, so you can use this news feed. And then folders. Folders are basically multiple types of folders are there in Appian. We have rule folder where we can save our expression rules, interface, constant, all those things we can save in our rule folder. And then comes the process model folder where we need to save all our process models. And then the document folders. Document folders is basically to save the documents. And then the knowledge center. So the knowledge center is going to the parent of the folder repository. That folder repository will have only documents folders, not the rule and process models. Rule and process folders are separately stored in the memory, Appian memory, but all the document folders will be the part of the knowledge center. So knowledge center is kind of the parent repository. Inside that we can have multiple different document folders. So yes, these are the objects that we have that we will be creating to create to our application, and we'll see how we can do it in detail. So we will learn all those things. So any questions, guys, so far? Yeah. So I have
one question. When you design an application from scratch, how do you decide that what of these object types you will be using? Is there any design pattern that is being followed?
Inside the application, all the objects will be available. It depends what you need to design, what time you can just simply have it. It's not like these objects are specific to an application. All the objects will be available to your application. It depends on your requirement, which one you need to use.
Okay.
Right. So has anyone tried to log into your sign up to the Appian community?
Yeah, I signed up.
Okay, so did you get your environment access?
Yes.
Great. So everyone, I'll urge you to do a sign up, get your environment access, and let me know if you face any issues. So one more thing, once you log in to the Appian, environment, right? When you go for the sign up, environment access, right, it will ask you a few questions. So try to answer those questions. Then only you will be able to see your cloud database access. So did you see your cloud database access is available or not in your environment? Can you just go to this navigation icon and see?
Yes, I have.
Great. So yes, everyone, please do sign up, and let's think about us use case that we will be using. We will be creating the application for from the next class onwards, right?
We sign up for mobile.
You can sign up from the mobile, but to use the application, you need to use a laptop, right?
Okay.
You can do the sign up from the mobile, not an issue. So anyone has any idea for any use case? Anyone think? Anyone has thought about that? Let's do this application and as a training. So
We can do the claims or leave management.
Yeah, leave management is a good because it also has an approval process. It has if you want to generate documents as well, you can do that based on the leave details. If you want, you can create a report as well, like how many are approved, how many of them are rejected. Yeah, it's a good use case. Is everyone okay with that?
I have one question actually. What purpose is used for Appian? Like any interface development, or is there any site build or any process models like approval process for this kind of use cases?
Yes, so we will be using every objects, the one that we discussed in our any of the use cases. See, in Appian, either you go with the high quality of development or low quality of development, simple use case or maybe complex use case. Objects are going to be the same, right? It's just how complex kind of requirement you have. Objects will, the way of using any object will remain same. You will be using the same objects. It's just the complexity of the logic will be there. That's it. It's not like for a complex application we have something else. For the complex application also we have this process modeling for approval. I mean for the workflow. So there is no different thing.
Suppose I have one use case. Let's we fetch the data from database and send it to the SAP system. Is it feasible in Appian?
Yes. 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 You can even see even for this application, right? For the leave application, we would like to see the let's say if you are the manager, you want to apply a leave for someone else, right?
Yeah.
As one of your associates, you need to pull that information that this data is available or not, right? When you try to search for the particular employee, you need to type the name and you need to search for in database. So that will give you, like, you are pulling the information from the database and you are verifying, okay, yeah, this is available, and for that I would like to apply the leave. So all those things we will be seeing. We will see how to pull the data from the database, how to display those information on the UI, and then how to proceed, update something and then submit it.
For API related, can we expose an API to some other applications?
So for API related, what we are going to do is that for API, see, if you want to expose any API, we need a credential for that. If anyone has any API with the credentials and willing to share the credentials, we can use that. Otherwise, there are free available API services are available to the websites which we can use. The way of working is same. It's just we may not need to use the credentials. That's it. So we will see how to use it, how to create an API, how to use an integration. We'll see all those things. It's just if anyone has any legal integration services call that we can use with the credentials, we can use that. Otherwise, we can simply use the free one which is available without credentials.
Okay. OAuth 2.0.
I'm sorry, your voice is breaking. I'm not sure if it is only for me or everyone has facing this.
Can we use it here?
Sorry,
basic authentication API keys.
See,
okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So
Is
what
it
I
already?
understand, what I understand that you are asking for the basic authentication on API keys and all, right? So if you see this, if you see this Appian environment, let me show you. In this Appian environment now, what they have done is they have hidden the admin consoles, right? So this admin API authentication and everything needs to be done in the admin console, which is now not available to the user to use it, right? But initially it has. Last year, in mid, I think in April or May, it was there, right? So what I did, we had a sharing, a video, recorded for that session. So we will share that videos with you guys where you can go and understand clearly that how we can use API authentication key and all. Okay. I cannot demonstrate here, but I can just definitely share the videos where I have explained clearly how to use this API key and all, just like our normal class. So if you have any question, with that, you can definitely ask. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now Appian has restricted that we don't see the Appian admin console, so we can't do that. Okay. Right. Okay. So I think we are good to use case to use as a leave application, leave management system. So we'll do the training on that leave management system. Before starting the application, we will talk about some of the concept of like what kind of variables we have, how do we define a variables, all those things we will see, and we will proceed with that. Okay, and then we will start the leave management system application. So there's one task I would like to give it to you. It's not related to the Appian coding, but yeah, think about the data model, what are the tables you might have for leave management, and come up with that. And we see what's the thing process and what are tables we might need for our application. Okay. Any questions, guys?
So, Harsha, I saw that while doing the registration, I saw that there are three regions where we are while filling up the form: USA, Germany, and
India.
India. So currently I'm in India, but I'm traveling to Melbourne today itself. So from Melbourne,
No,
there.
that's fine.
That's right.
You can
Yeah.
use anyone. It's just it's matter of the availability, which one is available. You can use it. That's not an issue. But you cannot you cannot transfer your application from one to other. Okay. So
Oh,
make sure whatever you are creating, you need to use the one for your.
oh.
Okay. Yes. All right. So what I need from you guys, what I need is a daily practice. You know, don't depends on the recordings. That I have a recordings I can watch later. Maybe I can go through in the weekends and then I can complete it. Please don't do that. I can understand some circumstances that you might not be able to do that. That is okay, but don't make it as a practice that okay, let it be recorded and we can see in the weekends and complete it. That's not gonna happen. You will definitely end up with having lots of videos at a time. So please, whatever we discuss on a daily basis, do the practice and then come up with the question in the next day. So every day I start with the same thing. Do you have any question? So I should have some questions from you guys. Should ask something so that it can get clarified. Okay. Don't don't hesitate to ask. There's no silly questions or tough questions. So please do ask the questions for your doubts, and we can clear it out, and then we can proceed. Okay. All right then. Thanks, guys. If you don't have any questions, let's close the session today. And from tomorrow onwards, we will start, technical discussions with everything, the variables and all, and the task that I have given, come up with some data model, the one that we might need for our use case leave management system.
Sorry, do we have course content? What all things we are going to cover?
Yes, we do have a course content. We'll share with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Can you
right.
share, please?
Yeah, sure. I think Sarita, if you are there, can you please make sure that you share with everyone?
Okay.
Thank you. So basically, what we do once you guys enroll for the course, then we create a WhatsApp group, and basically we share all those documents in that WhatsApp group. But yeah, for the course content, I would like ask Sarita to share with everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, if you want, I can quickly share here as well. Give me a second. Basically, the course contents has everything that we discuss in the object wise. Let me share. You guys can see my screen? So yeah, this is the course content. So we have done the introduction of the Appian, overview of Appian, tempo that we discussed about that. Now we'll start with the creating the application lifecycle, defining the applications, design objects that we have. So we talk about this, but we'll go in detail and we'll talk everything. The objects that we might be using, the user objects, role objects, group, and everything. Then we have the sale, interface designing, the coding, CDT. This CDT is now Appian is we'll definitely talk about this. This CDT is like is Appian is saying that hey, start using a record type instead of CDT. But yeah, we'll talk about a CDT. We have a recorded session on the CDT as well because we cannot create a CDT in this current environment, but we have a recorded session of the CDT in detail, which you will be able to understand clearly. We'll talk about that so you can get that information. And all these process objects, record types, related actions, Appian functions deep dive. Yeah, we'll talk about the Appian functions as well. Cell components, layouts, links, process models, events, gateways, all those things that we have it here. We will talk about that for sure. We'll share this file with you. And yeah. Any questions? No? All right, guys. Yeah.
Nothing. That's good. Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, guys. Then let's connect tomorrow at the same time. Did you guys have thought of any time changing, or are we going with the same timing? Okay, let me know. But right now, we'll go with the same timing for now. Tomorrow we'll connect at the same time. And yeah, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you.